we're on everything, and then catch up next.
Kathy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sounds good, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the board meeting of June 11th? So moved by Rick, seconded by Dick. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Carried. Well, it's all in the business tonight, if someone knew. As you know, Kathy, Rose, I believe Adrian and Lori, you were involved in this, developing this, no? Okay. You know, Adrian was part of it. In any case, this has been ongoing for quite a few months. It's accepting a cash management collection policy and procedures. Rick or Jason or Dick, you guys were involved. Maybe talk a little bit about the time and basic elements behind as we consider adopting this.
think Kathy would be the best. Yeah, so she's the one most of it. Yeah, once about it. Yeah. Kathy is very good.
Kathy, do you want to take the floor?
I can, Mike, I can't hear what you all are saying very well. So, can you repeat what you were what Dick just said?
Sure. We're looking for a summary or comments on the structure of the cash management policy and procedures. Just a basic overview of what we're considering adopting tonight.
Okay. So the question arises that we have always at the town had an informal policy of how cash was collected and how it was handled and who was responsible for it. The majority of the cash that comes into the town hall has been going through Lori's office for many years. The other 2 or 3 areas where cash is collected is the transfer station, pretty much on a daily basis, Craigle Golf Course during the season when it's open, and the toboggan slide during the season when it's open. And it just seems prudent in today's world, especially with the state comptroller's office, doing more in-depth reviews of municipalities and how they handle their books, to have a policy that is formally written down and approved and followed by the department. So my goal with this was to essentially describe how the process works currently. There were some changes made to the process before it was documented, but overall, the intent is just to document what currently is happening at the town for cash that comes into our coffers and gets deposited into our banks.
And Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong, but we made some changes just to assure accountability between those that handle cash and who's depositing it or reconciling, correct?
Well, yes, and I would say the most significant change is that we're asking for the cash that comes in to the town hall through Lori's office to be deposited within reason on a daily basis. And to generate those deposit reports and send them to my office likewise on a daily basis, because it just makes it easier to track the money when I know I can look at a specific day instead of waiting for a whole 3 or 4 or 5 days sometimes. So it does put a little bit more burden on Lori's office. However, it makes my life easier. So I don't know if that's true of everybody, but for the most part, we're changing. In Lori's department, she was making deposits every 3 days. based on what the OSC's guideline was. Every 72 hours, you have to make a deposit. Everybody else, though, they generally make the deposits on a daily basis, so there is no change there. And basically, Lori, I'm sorry, and just to continue on that vein, Lori's responsible for the town clerk and the tax collector checking accounts solely. That's her responsibility. She makes those deposits. She reconciles her accounts. And then she submits her monthly reports to the supervisor. And from that point on, all the money that's accounted for at the town flows through my office, and I do my bank reconciliations on a monthly basis and generate the reports for the town board.
Very good, and I think it's important for the public to know that certainly the whole board put the blessing on putting this on paper. Certainly, I'm proud of the system we've had for years, but we have better defined it now. And over the last few years, we've actually brought back a few policies and updated them. And in these days where we had more audits than in the past, I think it only solidifies better justification with everything we do as both the town board and our personnel that handles our cash. So thank you very much. I know this was many months of work on many folks' part. Thanks again. Are there further discussion or anything from around the table on whether you're ready to accept this policy?
My only question is this the policy that's being followed now?
It's in test mode.
Yes. Yes, this is a policy that should be being followed by every department that handles cash. I have sent drafts of this a couple times to the different departments that handle cash to review it. I've heard back from Shannon. She says she doesn't have any issues. It basically describes exactly how they do things. I've sent it to the Park District. Chelsea and Matt have, I'm assuming, reviewed it. They've not come back to me with any significant changes in how that works. There is some discussion going forward for the toboggan slide as to whether or not we change the register, how they bring up the sales with the register function. But other than that, I think it's, nobody's come back and said, no, this is not how we do it. So
the only physical notice that I noticed, because we're in my offices, Lori now takes all of building code stuff on permits and stuff. It comes through her office on a more frequent basis, which I think is very good. That's it. Again, right? Yeah.
So Kathy, if we approve this policy tonight, then you would notify the appropriate departments that this is now the official policy and it's what to be followed.
that it,
It's not, it's no
longer a test vote.
It's official.
that is correct. And it would be the responsibility of the board, and through your direction, I'm assuming me, to make sure that the policy is being followed. So it would just be a matter of every so often going to the different departments that handle the cash and say, hey, tell me what you do on a daily basis and how do you handle this, and see if what they tell me and what they actually do matches what we have in the policy. And if there's any reason why it doesn't match, find out why it doesn't match, and perhaps that would be a reason to go back and revise the policy because something's not working properly. It just might not be effective in how it functions. But the intent is to document what we're doing. And that's what I believe this policy is doing right now.
What time frame, Derek, do you feel would be best that we have this transitional time before we really lock it down and say, like, we would need to work out anything that needs to be followed?
Well,
I think we have.
Yes.
Yeah, then, so, I'm just saying, no one is given, generally, no one gives feedback until it's like, you know, they have to, so then they start, wow, I think Justin.
we don't have supposed to be able to go. It's
Um,
more procedural.
so Jason, just a comment based on what I heard you say, and I might have misunderstood you. The procedure that's documented in front of you is what is currently happening.
Oh, sure.
Like
yes.
we've been doing this for 2 months. Lori's office has been following this for 2 months. And as I said, all the other departments that are, the toboggan slide accepted because they're not active right now. But all the other departments, there should be no change in what they're doing because this documents exactly what they've been doing all along.
Sure, I just was dovetailing off your comments, if someone does come back with feedback and it seems to be, there seems to be some sort of, I won't say a disagreement, but an inefficiency that you would address it. You don't anticipate those.
No,
I understand.
what it was is that we'll address.
Oh, okay.
We'll address their inefficiencies.
They have any problem. You should have said something by now, therefore I think we should.
Oh, okay.
Immediately.
Yeah.
If they don't, well, I thought this was going.
You severely misunderstood.
Okay, yeah, okay, maybe it was a little too subtle. It was a little bit more direct, I think I'm gonna cut up on it. All right, never mind. We're all good
Thank you, Kathy.
then. Be more explicit.
With that being said,
Will be so.
is there anything further? I'll take a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept this, we can't manage the policy and get it effective.
Is there a second? Second by Emma. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Not carried. Thank you. Next up, of course, is another policy. And is this the second time or third time? Anyway, it is the
The
cannabis.
last.
It's the, to accept the cannabis tax funding policy, where we discuss different categories for the money. And of course, naturally, we all read the enterprise. We're not even sure how long that one will be.
Of course you're ready.
Yeah.
So I'd like to hear.
With that being said, anybody want to start any conversation?
No, I think we, on our last conversation, last meeting conversation. Excuse me. There were some concerns made by me that maybe we were a little bit too broad in what we would use it for, and I understand the concept. And I think in our discussions, and that we probably will take a couple things out and reword a few things. I was wrestling, and if that, I made another issue with that suggestion that I made. So I think that was great.
I like the fact that word discussion, it's still in there.
Yes.
So we can gauge everything as it comes in front of us, and we're not talking about a huge amount of money.
And that's the big thing that I didn't want to limit it, nor stand some issues doing what now there is a discussion. Say, not just $5,000.
I like the policy now, I think the edits are good. My question is more like a follow-up, so we adopt this policy, then do we like ask Kelly to run like a press push about this policy, because with like some sort of deadline, because we have this money. And we know he wants to separate these schools, I don't know if it's too late for him.
It's not.
Okay.
What's that? I didn't.
So see, you can call Haley in the morning instead of me.
Listen, and so that was, like, that's what I was kind of, I don't want to delay this conversation, but then like the application process in order to kind of, because there was another item about adult number 2.
Yeah, which is like now.
It's a moot point, but like, that's what I was just, like, now that he knows, and then, is there the application, if he submits it, is there a way that we have to wait for another month?
Oh, no. That's not.
I think you said rolling each
Right. You know, I think.
What do you
compare it to those process.
Sure.
Like with it, that's what we talked about. And this would be the address anything.
Okay, so by email, we can
Sure.
essentially,
Yeah, I would say that conceptually, because we're not gonna be getting to August. So conceptually, we could give it a blessing. So if everyone's comfortable with that, and then formally accept it in August.
As long as you don't apply all.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
I was.
One more member at a time. But
But unless we get, $40,000 class,
yeah,
So,
but I would tell them to get it. We can look at, people, organizations send in applications, we can take send everything over. Somebody wants to speak some funds or something like that. Okay, we know we don't have to.
so I guess. I've been so focused on whether the policy is going to be adopted, it seemed, and then conceptually, I felt like.
yeah.
Yeah, you okayed it, so like, but there seems to be an ongoing dialogue, and like, it all depends, like, introduces an area of. Not necessarily.
I think Keith has a very strong project.
Okay.
That fits within our policy.
So then I will be sure to communicate with them and everything tomorrow, and then you say a rolling application, when do you think that the board would?
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's sent to Haley and then Haley will do. Yeah, and
Because we're getting close, because we're waiting for this, for mid-July.
That's what we think it's something.
Okay.
Or not immediate, but sooner than later. That's
but it can't be formally voted on until August. That's the deal.
Yeah, but so the program, in theory, might be. So,
I don't know that. If he knows it's coming, he's safe.
okay, so that works.
I'll send the check.
Big check.
All right. Well,
But make sure, like, there is an
What's that?
application, so make sure you're not 30 parties done that, but he's.
don't get this unanimous.
Yeah, but.
I can do it.
that's-
now. You want a roll call for?
Wait, who made a motion for this candidate?
Wait. Yeah, okay. That's it, you're in discussion. Okay. Any further? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No one carries. Now it's done. Next item up is to discuss, this came up. As we've all convinced each other for well over a year now, retaining seasonal full-time employees is a challenge. Whether it's lifeguards, whether it's cemetery personnel, whatever, golf course personnel. And quite typically, the benefits that a seasonal full-time employee is virtually zero. One area that I talked about was retain, and I believe Rick initially brought this up, and there are many different reasons why I support the idea of seasonal full-time with holiday compensation. A lot of it has to do that seasonal workers often rely on that full-time work just to get by. When you take our seasonal skilled workers that are driving machinery, working with hand tools that are dangerous, and they're left to work alone with no supervision, or just on their own without a crew during the day, I don't agree with that. And when they're off for a holiday, I think they should be treated just like the rest of us. Certainly, I didn't poll the rest of you to see how you feel on this, but unfortunately, tonight's it, so if you agree, great, if you want to disagree, this is your avenue Put it up on whether we move ahead or table.
The fact is that. We're gonna be looking at later. A little bit later, there's 15 counselors. But. Don't. Holidays. Works.
They don't work on July. So it's only if they work,
Right.
because it's kind of like the office staff is paid in July work without working. So the policy is that they work on.
They, like, their seasonal employees have to take holidays. Well, they don't get paid.
And that's when it's on.
Right.
So
So
they have to work all the.
they either have to work it straight down. Yeah, it's not time.
And you want to long to do it.
Right. So, yeah, you've got two guys. Basically, what you can do, if you don't do this, is there's the rest of your guys, you fell out of your guys, they don't. You guys can come in and talk, oh, this is something. Right, yeah. Yeah. Exactly, say, okay, I'll go out. Talk to you.
But sorry, but what I'm confused by is the policy changing that they were, just gonna be, if they were.
They can,
So not working,
Not,
if we're not.
but if they're working.
Regular.
I guess my question, Kathy, I'm not sure if you know the numbers that are involved. Probably broadside you.
Like I can't.
What numbers you talking about, like the change?
Full-time seasonal staff. That would
Okay,
be affected by this, in other words, July 4th. Memorial and Labor Days, or, well, Juneteenth and the.
I do not have the answer to that, but I can figure it out and let you all know what I come up with. I will say that the unofficial unwritten policy has been, and mostly due to the fact that it has been so difficult for him to retain and get employees, that the Black Fly Control Department has always paid their seasonal employees for the 4th of July holiday.
Were they working or not working?
Non-working. It was a holiday they got paid for.
What other kind of savings are we looking, I guess, what are we trying, are we looking for savings?
Is this
No,
policy
no,
written
no,
down?
Are we trying?
Yeah, is this
No.
policy written down? Because you need to read it.
This would have to be.
it'd have to be drafted.
And now.
I'm not against it, but I need to read it.
Yeah, now, if you're. So obviously, some of them. Would we offer them less or. Well, I mean, something easy. But say they have, let's say they had worked for a lot.
I'm not hearing them now.
But if they work for July. If they cut it down. What they are, they actually they are.
Okay,
So we need to,
we need another policy.
we need to draft.
Yeah, like it's low, because you have to work on July 4th, so you get a flow for another day. So you take out July.
Basically seasonal full-time people. not paid. So 4th of July comes around. You either work or don't get paid. So a lot of people don't work, so they need that. And they're alone,
Boy, and then these are the lectures, they have to.
they have to.
Yeah, I think it seems like there's several.
Yeah, I agree.
Process.
I disagree with Jason, but.
It's mostly about retention.
Just, I mean.
The retention, it seems like.
I'll see you guys, you are, you're an expert at it.
You can put it in your passions, just follow your passion.
But it will be aligned, it will be aligned with what my clients are doing. The practice, I don't want to be taking away. something.
Right. Exactly. Thinking about the farm, anything like. Some will be work. But others. I would, these straight will work.
This is just to get it. We don't want to do the unofficial thing that you're looking into it. Like, I don't, I'm trying to understand the motivation. Maybe that could be explained later in two.
It's a bet. It's a bet.
We're trying to add it.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, you're on board. Yeah.
No, you got me, it's a little warmer now.
No, it's.
I am a Democrat.
No, it's. If you have if you're a qualified employee, genuinely, in the private sector. That makes sense. Now, public sector. We should usually, obviously.
Yeah, I was gonna say. All right, so I'm gonna transfer that to the August agenda, and we can talk about it.
The other, another component is, we're inconsistent with our seasonal full-time people in, an allotment for. No, for seasonal.
Oh, okay.
So lifeguards, yeah, I think you know, a lot of this, the. Camp Classic gets, not allowed to get exfoliated. And. So the ask was just a. Same way that we do it now, it's a car, like it. I see. Like the new guy that just started, he needs a pair of steel toe boots. Yep. So to lay out 125. Steel toe boots. Full-time. So anyways, I'll add that if you don't.
Yes.
That's great.
Which would have applied to graduate highway. That's it, because the other ones are extremely. So that's the only.
And making a minimal amount.
Like stroke.
Like. Specific to the highway department, their color is. So should we add our t-shirts with a logo on it in the.
Easy for us to do.
Something about that.
No, exactly. All right, let's move on to. Somewhat discussion around on ARPA allocation. What I did is I'd like to talk a little bit about cameras. As you know, we have considerable money allocated already for cameras, but our focus was primarily just on venues. The different things have come to mind over the last couple of months. One of them, you know, since our, let's say, uninvited guests into the town hall, First Amendment visitors, created an area where we have a vacancy, if you will, on camera coverage. And it is as you leave where my office is into the hallway to the court system. I think that's the only place we have it. The other floors are all covered. But we need a camera there that would give some protection to those court rooms. And I'm not suggesting putting it just inside the door, but in the ceiling a little closer, so it can come right down in that area.
So you're catching people working on it.
That's right.
You should say catching either way, you're recording people who are coming in.
Coming into the town offices. Or
Well,
the
the-
town events.
Town hall. Because when you say the second, the other floors are covered, the other floors are cameras.
Yes.
Yeah. But they're.
Run that, I'm
I was like, spent a lot of time over here.
Then your second question is, where's the frontage? On to store. We need a policy, right? What is going on?
Seriously.
No, I didn't give
He's not in my office.
So anyway, I'm thinking that one camera should come with Geneva.
Yes.
That's an important one. I put panic buttons on there because during that event, one works and one sends a signal, I'm not sure. Or they respond.
I think that it just needs to be. They need to come.
Trace,
Yeah.
and that's through the arm, so that's not a big deal. I just wanted to. But the other area that I think we've proven to each of us where it would make a lot of sense is the beach. I believe to have cameras at the beach would be beneficial.
Maybe like facing the beach house.
I'm looking at it purely from safety.
I see what you're saying,
What safety? Just. so you know.
maybe an accusation of someone using the beach against when they're not supposed to.
It could be camera coverage after hours. I don't care what the parameters are. But you know, those swim docks that are in deep water with no lifeguards after hours still remains liability, whether we're on duty or not.
Yeah.
And what's the question is, so cameras basically dies. What's the purpose?
So that if something happens.
Anything
we
recorded.
were-
Put it this way.
I don't know if you want
Yeah.
That's the thing, it's not.
I don't know.
What's the difference of our cameras on the toboggan chute to catch anybody hitting the bottom while they're using that chute?
Well, because
It's purely around safety. If you guys don't like the sound. of it,
I'm just trying to wrap it.
We've also talked about cameras in that area year round, just for all kinds of purposes. One, we thought it'd be promotional, the way here, because you could show people speaking or whatever. And I think if we did, we could run like a live feed.
I'm gonna give you another example now. I didn't want to bring it up, but I'm gonna say one point. Individuals here that are on a team that's visiting, we're giving the lifeguards a hard time at the beach. And one of the moms came out of nowhere and was climbing the ladder to the lifeguard, to the head lifeguard, to give her a hard time. I wanna know when our lifeguards go through that kind of heckling. So that if we need to trace down people, we can take care of it. Yeah, and believe me, you can
So the camera's going out towards the water.
toward the water. Yeah. I mean. People giving lifeguards a hard time is something that seems to be becoming consistent. Okay,
I can see that.
I want to eliminate it. If you can behave yourself, you're welcome. If you're not, hit the bricks.
Can we run that by?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, just make sure.
Oh, yeah. All right, so that may come back. Agenda.
Okay.
All right,
No, I'm not against it, I just don't.
I know,
I'm just not sure.
you're
We're so
concerned,
aware.
you're concerned about the setting. Okay. All right, we're back to five.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Let's move on to,
There's the timing too, on top of it.
total housing, when, I don't know, I named this, right? With the community capital grant sponsorship program.
Yes, but you know what, I looked at this earlier this week, I forgot to ask Kaylee if she received something, if she received any responses.
Nothing came to me.
Yes, and so let me. next year.
And
Then let's jump back after
Yeah.
we hear about.
yeah. All right, let's go to number 6, I'll let you do. All of me,
Yes,
is there anything to report?
yeah, we had a good meeting with Bruce and we came up with kind of a revised plan of how to run the event. To lower the cost without asking others, like, for other sources of money, so we're moving forward with Bruce on how to kind of rebrand it, restructure it, and get both of those two things, break down our costs. So I think for right now, we're good, maybe in October, I'll come back with a different request, but I think for right now, we're gonna just run it as a different way. It's either the price of what they're gonna. Thank you for considering it, but I don't think you can do anything like that.
I've got to regress and go back to ARPA just for a second, I forgot to mention. I okayed an expenditure that I'd like to put under ARPA, and that is, Matt went up and created a manifold, water manifold at the fields, so that there will be multiple water valves for the athletes to fill water pumps. It was a great idea, the minimal hose and filter that he's gonna put on, it makes so much sense that it doesn't involve us buying more fountains or any of that stuff. And it can be drained, flushed every fall, and it will let 4 or 5 of them at a time.
So this is a PVC or I think it's some sort of holes drilled in it.
Yeah. And it's just a little manual valve that will turn on.
And they might be like you said, 5% outlets for each station. And you can say,
We run a 50 micron filter through it.
Okay, so we drink it.
well,
It's potable already,
Yeah,
but we're gonna play it safe.
you just bottle water, it's usable. These are bottle fill station that we have out there, so.
Well, yeah. One at a time.
Yeah.
Especially when we don't take this little politics.
All right,
I did move those out.
oh, did you?
Okay, so the inventory is that one left for cross fields, one left for portion.
That's good. So probably we'll put the one, that's the push. Yeah. Let's move to committee reports, did you want to report on cemetery?
Yes, cemetery. The survey is done. The cemetery, they want to survey, make sure the property line is appropriate before the. I'll say, no, yeah, the best, where you put ashes in. No, you can put a, no. They're sort of 2 depositories for information. So Kenny would like to move ahead with that. If anybody would like to be involved with where it is, he's got an idea of where. We discussed, on the sidewalk and a couple of benches, No. It's the whole area.
Can't have anything without it.
It's impossible. So
It's in the policy.
just let Kenny or myself. He'd like to get that. Is the. Yes, because that meets. And then the next one, and I apologize, I stepped on your fencing toes. We work with, Brad had concerns, about Hathaway with the big hole that they've done for the food pantry. There's a lot of children that play around there, people that walk through there, if you've seen it, it's there. So it's combination village town concern. Village is going to work, the town was the property. So working with Jamie Rogers and Brad, we, Derek's approval, we ordered 170 fencing. rental. Yeah. Oh.
You're not really stepping on his toes.
Thank you for pointing it out. We measured it out, and the price is extremely reasonable. It's
Is it going to
two, protect, if you wanna climb up the hill. To get to it, you can go ahead. Otherwise, it's gonna be locked off. And east, west, the rivals, yes, it was.
And the August, well, it's, I think it's the crane, it's actually the whole, so it's towards the end of August. Well, that would be the center,
Six.
I think you got to push back.
I think the crane pushed it back. But the, what makes the, well, I guess it's not necessarily the state, which is more attractive to land, is like when the walls and the floor in there. But it's almost like nothing will fall in. It's still, those will be here at the end of July.
But I guess until the building is set, you can't backfill.
So that's right, yeah.
So it will be a whole. You know, these are, they rent it, they don't rent it. So.
Maybe you can use it after you pull it out.
All right, there's not like that. There might be a swimming pool from tomorrow. I think you have another like that.
Good. And is that it?
That's it, it's all, yeah.
Nick, can I ask you to follow up? I left a message for Kathy as well for tomorrow. Check on those benches. Now they're another 10 days.
hear that. Oh, okay.
Because the last one that Kathy sent me said that they were delayed around the 25th. And we're sending them the next week. We're actually 2 weeks out now. Or will be by Friday.
I got a call, pickleballer was extremely upset, because when she gets to tea, she gets a place to stay. She hasn't called yet. She hasn't, that's it.
I did get some feedback that, like, or shape.
Isn't it amazing, like, do you remember the shade, like, playground, and we talked about that?
Yeah.
Without that, over there, it would be like really sweet.
That'd be a great project for you. Like, lean to take, with a bench in it, and a long, metal roof. That faces south, people that survive.
We are.
The demographic, we are,
In the
it's
shade.
older.
Shades of water.
Maybe we need a space station.
We're talking about language now. We should put some of those water things out there. That made. Pickleball.
Anything else under committee reports?
We got our first buffer comp plan today, we got our first draft outline. I did quickly look through it, I think it has a lot of setting up for, because like.
Mix it down and hold that, I think it's the last.
It's maybe like 10 pages right now, it's just an outline, but I think it's going, everything that I was reading. I feel is going in the right direction, and they did their job in listening to the feedback and incorporating all the information sessions. So my quick read of it was, I think they're going in a good time. I mean, if you think climate change is controversial, that's like your first path, right? It's like becoming resilient to reactive to climate change.
It's just a group that facilitated the conversation. Like, is this the draft of narrative that she was promising in that experience?
So I never did like follow up where it's the narrative, so I don't know. I know what you're talking about, like, yeah, she was supposed to create like storylines.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally forgot that.
You know, the
I thought it was kind of
12% of the vote.
Yeah, but I never saw that. I did.
Those
but I
are,
missed
those
it.
are sort of story. Similarities between the groups. But I did ask her, I said, are you putting this in narrative? She said, when you get it.
Yes, she said, maybe just remind me that she was listening to that. Yeah, I would say that is not in the outline right now, but I don't know if you could, like, I wouldn't be listed as like, here's the narrative. It's probably in the outline, I just don't know exactly what section of the outline it's in.
You saw the storyboards?
At the, because they, remember they did it at the, vote.
We can't vote.
But we have their link. So they're
Okay,
right.
okay.
There was nothing on that. It was just pretty much what we spoke about session.
But
Can you
I,
follow up with it?
Yeah.
Right there?
sorry, cause I remember thinking, her comment was, she always does these stories and she includes a headline. And that it always comes back and covered many years later, and that headline actually is in the paper, so I wanted to relate to history here.
I was just,
I was intrigued by her ability to do that.
Will the police, master plan for the park district? Hold back, let's see, on the development committee, or they can run it.
Yeah, they can run independently, but I will say that, like, so the first two pathways, climate resiliency, climate change resiliency. And then the second pathway is, making it be more affordable and accessible, affordability from the big picture, not just housing affordability. And then it actually goes into like all things about like community assets and recreation and, say community pride or like. It's not right, like. Community symbols. So, and I think that a lot of that feedback came back from the survey, like, we're feeling that connectivity and a lack of access to recreation facilities. So,
So that doesn't.
it does tie in, but it, a good way ties in, it doesn't have to be for the part of the student.
Oh, you want to take away contracts, you want to identify us for acceptance?
Highway contracts, you all signed it as they agreed to spend out the highway funds. Not going to go into all every state roads, but it's basically it's the $554,450. Some of it, roads are listed here. The specifics, and this is the document that we use to go out, put it out there.
Do we want to accept those in the motion? I'll make a motion to accept the paving outline. Is there a second? Second by Emily. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Yep. Carried. All right,
Should we go back?
to the pro housing.
No, to the national effect of all. You mentioned, well, yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I certainly, yeah. So why don't I assign myself to call our concrete person that for those packets. You have dimensions of the picnic table, like,
well, no, I don't, because we really just kind of throw it out.
yeah,
Which is,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
well, just no grass that high and that's underneath it.
We were later than some.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do something later now.
Is two adequate?
I think so. I would say.
And just for picnic tables, I don't know why we can't.
That's not.
Yeah. All right,
Are we looking to, with the benches, to get, just something that matches the benches or just get?
I would just say, I mean, we want wood, we want metal.
I think metal's gonna be too hot.
Right.
All right, I'll research it.
Got one thing that I forgot. Shannon wanted. Ask me.
Oh,
So she just wanted. Services.
Those are voted for years. Yeah. All right, we've all had a chance to look at audits, signed in my vote. I'd like a motion to accept the audits. By Rick, seconded by Dick. Anything you'd like to discuss of the audits? All in favor? Aye. None opposed, carried. Kathy, you ready to go over budget amendments and our personnel things?
Yes, I'd like to just touch on the personnel actions first.
Go ahead.
All right, so I emailed them all to you yesterday morning. It was the earliest I could get them to you. I apologize for the lateness. They're all, if anybody doesn't have any questions, it's what was in that spreadsheet. The only thing that's not there are the beach attendants and lifeguards that have recently been hired in the past week. I don't have all the details from Chelsea yet, in terms of the names and their level of employment. So that will be on next month's report.
They have all received their binders.
Yes, I
What was
just,
reported to me is you'll have everything by Friday.
that would be great. So it's my understanding that the lifeguards will be considered skilled labor and get $23 an hour. And the beach attendants would be considered unskilled labor and get $20.50 an hour.
That's correct.
So other than,
Can these lifeguards begin employment for our next meeting?
oh, I know.
No.
That's a question.
Can they?
It's just the nature of the beast. It's always been like this with the park district employees. I'm always trying to close the gate after all the animals are out.
Kathy, is it okay for the lifeguards to begin employment prior to being approved by this board?
I believe so, yes. In my mind, what you're doing is basically just paper chasing, bookkeeping. We're documenting the employees that have been hired and the rates of pay that they're getting paid in the minutes, so that there's something to look back at and say, yep, see, they were hired on this day at this rate. And so it's documenting it, because otherwise there's no record of their employment other than what records I keep in the files, which I would like to think are complete, but there's always issues of people saying, but that's not what I was promised, or no, I believe I worked on this day, a year ago, and you don't have my start date until today, that kind of thing. So it's just paper keeping, record keeping.
So as long
But
as we're straight on the hourly rate and we need guards, they can start as soon as possible.
right, my biggest concern, and I think I talked to Emily about this earlier, is that especially with the youth that we employ, is to make sure that we have the proper documentation in terms of working papers and their identifications filled out, so that there's no question that they're legally allowed to be working for us. And as long as I have those documents in hand, then I don't see a problem with them working, because the rest of it's just a paper chase.
Sounds good. All right, next.
Okay, so other than the lifeguards that aren't on the list, everything else is documented. These are the individuals that I know of, based on your discussion of the compensation changes. So if there's any questions, please let me know if I've made any errors in documenting those. All right. Okay, so then the budget adjustments, if you're ready to move on to the budget adjustments.
Okay,
We have. All right, Derek had to pay a fee for the land transfer from the school for the food pantry. So that is a request. There is, the next voucher for the SE group for the Lake Placid Comprehensive Plan that we need to take that money from, I'm going to assume fund balance. The building and code office, we had, so when David was working as the code and zoning coordinator, he had a laptop. And when we hired Barry, Barry took over the laptop. The laptop it crashed. So we had to buy a new computer for them. That's what that is. And in addition to the computer, we had 2 monitors that, so Darcy and David now as code enforcement officials in their new program, all their permits and their plans, everything, they look at them online. And their little tiny monitors that they had weren't sufficient for them to be able to actually see the blueprints properly. So they requested larger monitors. So that was part of, when I ordered the new computer, I ordered the monitors to go with it. So that amount, I would say take out a contingency because that's where we put the extra money for computers when we built the budget. What else is there? The community tourism enhancement money. We have, the town has spent $34,000 of that this year. And I gave you a spreadsheet. Do you all see that second tab with the budget amendments when I emailed it to you?
I do, exactly.
So we've spent, it looks like about $6,200, $6,300 with the SE group so far this year on the showground master plans. We've spent about $2,800 with Boyer Septic for placements of different porta potties. We've spent $120 with Roost for when we were setting up for the eclipse viewing. Again, another $750 for, I don't know what the rental was, I'd have to look it up, but it was from April. And then the Lake Placid Chamber of Commerce, for Adam DeSantis' salary, our share of it,
Hey, Kathy,
another 24,000.
why are there 2 payments for for like the community development, or it's actually economic development?
Oh, sorry. So, my mistake. We've received 2 invoices from Ruth so far. One was for, I believe, March, the first quarter, and the second one was for maybe a month. So I'm thinking the first one was for 3 months, and the second one was for 1 month. I don't have the invoices in front of me, so I can't tell you that.
The total is $17,266.
No, the total is 24,000. So all total, all of those items is 34,000. And so Derek was saying, it makes more sense. Derek and I discussed this, and we thought it made more sense for the town to just reduce the occupancy tax revenue we receive from the county by the amount that we spend, that we say is, that we designate as the tourism enhancement. And the rest of it then becomes what's available to send back to Roost towards the league. Or whatever other purpose they have.
But Kathy, so many conversations going now, I was like trying to answer you. What you just said though, so then the payment would go from the county directly to Bruce for leave minus what we had.
Well, I'm not exactly sure how you all set this up with Roost, okay? I've never understood it, and I
We have
apologize.
an MOU. I know you don't like the MOU, we have. one.
Yeah.
Um,
So far, okay, so the second payment we received this year from the county was $212,880. So $34,187 of that is money that the town has already spent. We've already paid that money out. All for items that the town board said were community tourism enhancement expenditures. So rather than us sending the whole and then invoicing Roost for the we're just gonna keep the $34,000 and send them the difference.
Patty, we're losing you. We gotta pick up this conversation when we're face to face. But I will, on our next
Yeah.
month's accounting, I will put that in front of you, so you and MJ can get together and verify everything.
I think that Emily and you and I should sit down so that we can talk about this before that point. But Derek, you and I had discussed this.
Oh, for sure. It's
Yeah.
just that we're losing every third or fourth word from you, and we can't
It's-
follow your conversation.
I apologize. I have the same issue with your side.
Well.
Yeah. So on that note, since I have never been at this, paying that salary. Can you come?
It's funny that I asked that before and then.
The only time I ever been.
I've never met him formally.
I know that- I know
It's meaning to be a negative.
No, it's on the August agenda.
That's you're asking it, not Chase, not just Steve.
So I think that would be, since there are funds going, we should, an idea.
Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah.
The other question I have, I apologize, is why do we buy our gas for the public stewards?
Because of that four-stroke engine, so there's no ethanol.
There's
That's
ethanol.
critical.
Yeah, plus stores gets back to.
And to my knowledge, that's the only credit card we have, Ken's got. The only,
Oh, as far as a credit card?
Yes.
That's it.
yeah. If she does, she's held that secret.
There's another policy.
All right, should we? go back to quote housing?
Yeah, I haven't updated, I really.
I have.
Sorry. What was it?
Okay, I'll take a motion to approve budget adjustments and personnel.
So,
Moved by Rick, seconded by Dick. Anything further? All in favor? Aye. No one opposed, carried. All right, so now,
Oh, yeah, so I just emailed her, texted me like, she's working a bunch of email communications that she's had with the grant writers for, CA. So she said so you put a call out for the saw on Thursday and Facebook asking for, we did call them RFPs, if someone with the organization would like to, us to sponsor them in this process. And, the only organization for background was the LPCA. And so the LPCA would, they talked about us with us at workshop, for a renovation of their theater suites. And it's part of what they've already received some federal funding. State.
Did we open up, did we get into the pool?
Yes.
So we had any questions already?
So the reason why this was on the agenda was because we wanted to officially say that we would be supporting, well, we were gonna have to, if we had to make a decision, we only have one proposal for us and then LPCA. So I think that, I'm comfortable saying that we should move forward with LPCA, being the applicant on behalf of the LPCA.
Did James get in touch, did he send out letter?
he sent the proposed sponsorship letter to me,
For federal.
We were gonna act on this.
but I'm confused at what point he's comfortable with that letter.
We don't really need to get.
Okay,
Because he wanted to clarify the role we would each play. And the letter would kind of help clarify that.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but certainly, project of that size and the impact on the community. It's a great project. But I think that's the point. Does that come to every first place?
What? The letter.
Actual proposal
Oh,
of sponsorship.
I would imagine at some point we're gonna have a resolution, but I think that we can through the grant application process, there's gonna be like a little hearing and a grant and a resolution.
Yeah.
But them being the only applicant, maybe saying that then it's here moving forward with the town sponsorship of the yeah.
I mean, if you'd like a resolution, it's a second.
I think there will be a very specific language resolution that we can just wait for.
But that would happen, either a workshop or a first office.
I know, because that application is to September.
That's what it counts.
I don't think that's the motion, I can just say, you say that we're moving forward.
All right, okay, I guess we're at the point of our meeting for person's opportunity to speak. I know James Condon has contacted me and we have some guests here tonight. So I'm gonna leave you last to ask your questions. Is that okay? All right, James, you're welcome to speak from there or come up to the edge of the table. And as we spoke on the phone, I'm expecting this to be more or less a summary. I don't want to go through the whole ball of wax that we did before. I know you're looking for responses from us, from your email back to us. Yes, so that's how I kind of prepared the board. So if you want to start it off with statement or whatever, we'll do what we can to respond. Whether it will be to your satisfaction or not, I can't judge that. I've asked everyone to be prepared to comment.
So, right, so saying I do, questions from someone. Appreciate that. My goal here is to get a peer edit and bring up some sort of requirements if you want to go demand for folks on the lake. It's moving out the boat access on people. Numerous and contribute to the tax rate expansion. Right, so that's time for that. But I want you to make it, I want you to do that, I want you to announce it, maybe not going to do it, do it. So, but I thought how that will happen, I mean, how do you implement it? If not, well, really discuss it, get it wrong, speak to a lawyer. I think you speak to a lawyer who likes to go forward with land acquisitions, and you could also have to talk to planners and architects, find a suitable place for building a residential on a lake that Massachusetts now has access to water. So, for the reason I'm coming to you is now, because the government could take actions to review from your own laws, so you can get things done where it can privately have to some of the laws. And then even on the state level, there's APA, which I think are conservation rules, I think probably engineer rules. But the state, there's to work with that and private developer. And then it's not like the people on the landlocked lake placid go out and try to shop for a piece of property. So people, not on some, they only go for those jobs. But in due process of law, to acquire land, get land appropriated for use. Is sent through the process, and they don't use their motions to pay for it. They just need the person who's giving up land at fair price and the person who acquires the money.
So you're talking about, you're saying,
And at that point, you could work something where people on the lake, where they lock with either lease, sublease this land back or you, or you could run the radio yourselves.
James, let me ask you a quick question. Did the information that you gave us refer to 88 either friends or people that are involved in this direction? Are they 88 people that you've identified that would lose a boat slip? I'm confused on that.
Yes, I have been around the lakes, shore on made a map, and that's what I did, I counted up the dots around the lake that we don't have boats.
We work with the same map, so.
You know that.
Yeah,
So I counted actually by 90 camps. Some use multiple boat slips if they have for money.
so again, a bottom line, do you feel that if the acquisition goes through, not our acquisition, but the current, once it leaves the courts, the individuals who purchase it, the plan goes into effect, their marina and the current Lucy Marina are inadequate numbers of boat slips?
Yes, it's a long way to this.
and you understand our concern with a concept like eminent domain, which bases its principles on public good. It doesn't mean we don't care that there are a number of people that don't get a slip, but to move in and try to take that parcel by eminent domain just doesn't make sense. And for the record, I haven't had brief conversations with our legal counsel around this issue. I'm not gonna say we've been advised against it or for it. All I'm saying is that we have addressed it. And I think my remarks remain the same. Let's just hypothetically assume that we were to take that parcel, or we buy it at $7 million. We still wouldn't be able to accommodate everyone you're worried about. That site isn't big enough, so I don't understand from our town point of view where we gain. Certainly, if there was a chunk of land we could reasonably buy and put in a marina, I'll bet we would, but
I think there is, all of course, that shoreline, there are parcels that squeeze in, you might have to knock down the boathouses or something, right here.
what are you suggesting, taking those by eminent domain?
This land here is wasteland, all around here, all the this Paradox Bay is wasteland. It needs to be developed to marinas.
You want me to bring that message to him?
But you take it, yeah.
Wow.
I'm not. I don't know where that.
But the alternative is, there are 90 homes. Okay, and that's the tax. So those kind of people live here. Looking for protection from the government. To help us with something. And when we lose, you lose $1 million in taxes, so it's worth it.
But they have slips now, though, that's, I guess, my point. They have slips now.
If you publish already.
And either
No.
marina. Otherwise,
you can't get it. Every most of us cost $100,000.
So what are they doing now? What's the situation?
They're all marina, Paradox Bay marina. It's open, and it's been sold.
Right,
So we don't know what direction it's going.
but the point is, it's not like all of a sudden, all these slips are gone.
Well, it takes time to prepare get some new folks in there, but.
Right now, there's, right now, we don't know anything. Right now, all these people, all these landlocked parcels have boat slips for use.
Yes.
Okay,
I apologize. No, I do appreciate you bringing the issue to the board. Have other members of this community that he's talked to communicate with the town board about a similar concern?
Let me put it this way, James has approached the village board. With, from what I know, virtually the same message we're trying to give them. I gave them the second opportunity to come here and hear from each of you.
Well, I'm asking like, I was saying, is there? Have they appointed you, the other individuals, the 90, as like the sole representation?
No,
To communicate the issue?
there's no
There's no organized group.
unity on this, like, short owners find about 50% more people have roads. And, so that's not an issue for them. And then there's, the people who are buying it, one of them thinks they have it, so friends that are totally entitled, like, they have not done any communication with people, those things, stuff, who buy it, is buying it, or the company.
I guess, what was the total number of individuals that would be impacted by this again?
90 homes.
90 homes would be impacted. Have any of the other 89?
No, because there's,
Because impact, you don't know what impact.
Well, I'm just saying, sharing the same concern.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's other people. who are-
What I'm asking is there, out of the 89 sort of, areas, how
no,
many have communicated to us with this emerging?
no, because it's indefinite information that we're all skeptical about. Everything's still a question.
it may never.
I thought you used to still talk
I don't
concern.
know what it is, that. What is, you don't, the whole situation. We don't know where it's going.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm just saying if there's,
No, I got you.
is it a concern of one or is it a concern of 90? Because
That's what I was trying to appreciate. Is there a concern for number of boat slips or I'll throw this out there, is it the price of the boat slips if the acquisition goes?
It's smart, some people buy multiple slips, all you need is one, if you don't have one, you're, you can't access your house.
No, that's not Rick's
There's
question.
two boat launches.
That's not Rick's question, is, are people concerned about the quantity or just the fact the price might be?
Well, has not. Yeah, it's outrageous. $100,000.
No,
I just gotta circle back, so there hasn't been,
we're in two.
so what I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you have your understanding of the situation, you're bringing a concern, but yet that hasn't been sort of a unified sort of movement on all of those that may be potentially impacted, communicating the sort of a large level of concern about this particular issue.
There's been no other correspondence on this issue other than James to this point.
I find the reason for it is something like this, that these people who are selling Maria, one of the parties, she told herself this is my thing. But it's like elder abuse, like everyone, some people on like the whole, pick it up and pick up the phone or they don't have the energy to fight this or speak up.
And James, please understand, it's not that we're not empathetic to this situation, but I cannot find. I can't find any justification where a government can step into a private land
That's why
sale.
you have to step aside. You have to. That is, don't understand, eminent domain is. Real estate law is a creation of law. The ownership of property is just state ownership. It's creation of law, you have title. You own the property, you have mines, the tree number, but you don't own land. You have a title. entitled to take it away. It's in the Constitution of the United States, 14th Amendment. It predates law.
I think we understand that, and I know Derek understands.
No, Eric doesn't like it, it's something that don't like.
I mean, that's two different things. He understands it. You said he didn't understand it. I believe he understands.
Doesn't like it.
Well, that's two different things.
It's really hard to, like, eminent domain, I've been part on the village board, part of that process when it came to the parking lot across MBT. It was a difficult process, and it wasn't a decision that was made easily, and the public good was the parking lot. However, when you, like, for us to go and prompt us to take land from individuals, when you are the only one communicating it, wouldn't come close to my mind to justifying such a substantial decision process to be instituted. So I think maybe my advice and recommendation, based on being part of a municipality governing body that has gone through the process, you're going to need a substantial larger number of people to support and communicate with us.
I've been working at it. Most people that did get it.
I think they need to communicate with us or communicate in a way that kind of they've conferred their sort of support to you in your sort of the way you have instigated the process. Otherwise, it's just one individual. Well, your concerns are legitimate, but just to prompt the whole sort of board.
They have to.
What's that?
They're all good, they have to.
But they'd have to communicate that to us.
They are doing it.
I think you have something that can summarize the conversation. So one thing that, like, I think you heard a little bit of the discussion of the content. So one way that I think the town could be helpful in what you're not implementing to make part. That's, to me, that's how. So one way the town could be helpful is through a plan, right? So we create these plans and then we find money to implement these plans, or we change our land use code to make sure that it's following. And in the plan, I think we're going to come out, there's going to be this part about access to both lakes, Bear Lake and Lake Placid, and about increasing access to these lakes. Because I think there's this perception, which I think perception is reality, that Lake Placid Lake in particular does not have a lot of public access, even though there's two state lines, there's a state line to the village. It really has very limited public access. And so I think through the comp plan, something is going to be identified about increasing access to Lake Placid Lake. So then turn that in after we finish, like we adopted, we accepted, we turn that comp plan into changes in land use code. So maybe we change the land use code to encourage more growth. You know, we expand the districts that you can have a marina in. We allow for existing marinas that are not in marina zone districts, but are in town residential districts to expand if appropriate, and obviously if they have the right DC and EPA permits. So those things are being looked at, that you realize there's a crunch on both sides of the land, and there's a limited amount of public access. So it's about the landlocked parcels, waterlocked parcels, and also public access. So that's one thing I wanted to answer. Oh, and the other thing, which I was going to say, that we did the math on the taxes, and this is just for your math. You said it is $1 million in taxes that the landlocked person waterlocked parcels can pay. But only 309,000 comes to the town. The school gets 630, and the county gets 181. So I think the school should go there.
Shelter, so.
I mean, the school's would be the biggest loser here, if in fact, we do not know yet, and I don't know what would happen, the value of those lots go down because there is a limited amount of access to board slips, or if the price of board slips goes to $100,000, then maybe the price of those camps drops $100,000. But you know what? Then the assessment on that $100,000 slip is probably going to make up for that loss of tax base. So I sympathize with what's going on.
Access, service, right?
No, those boats are like non-annualized. They're gonna have deeds and their parcels, and they're gonna be taxed.
See you later, Sydney. Thank you.
Actually, before you go
Tomorrow.
too far, the school board.
Yeah, I was joking.
Speaking of school board, ex-school board president. State ed department, not allowed the school to absorb land. They're very clear on the school is not in the neighborhood.
So James, we've come to an end of another session.
So what do I? Like. Let people look at each one of your opinions. Okay. You want to work, everyone wants to work out.
It's already in.
Yeah, the plan's in process.
Yeah, the plan is in process.
That plan is in process, but it is such a limited access vision right now, it would piecemeal what you're trying to accomplish. I don't want to paint a picture that's not there, unless some primary landowner.
Unless that little map, I mean, I think that's a great place for Marina, I know exactly what property you're talking about there. But maybe we can encourage him through the comp plan and some changes in land use code, he'll say, you know what, financially, that's a great investment to put a marina there.
So you know, I wish you would. So different lawyer, but the house lawyer, is more work for him, for her, it is. You can tell them it's probably litigate forward. And you don't make it, you have to talk to that person.
I don't think there's one person on the board who still go ahead.
I think, I was just, I think the council acts as the will of the board, and I think unanimous that would be zero desire for through the process of that.
In this case.
So regardless of what the attorney of us pro on that side of this.
What's the big deal? You just delegate, right?
Basically, we're just saying, none of us, I'll speak there, none of us are interested in suing this matter.
And for me, in order to legitimize your concern, you would have to increase the number of people who are impacted, communicating with us on the
And
to verify, to legitimize or to verify the concern. Right. That's just me, of 1 of 5, but. I would have thought between, because I do understand you were here prior, and you went to the village board expressing the same concern, and now you're here again. I thought within that sort of almost month time, that there would be generally being on the village board and having this experience, there would have been more of an increase of influx of communications supporting concern for the it's not.
It's the nature of the character of more like here, I think, doing busy working on your house.
But you're here now.
It's been working on it. It's really fine. It's very hard to try to get folks go around with your folks.
I mean, thinking it's like you wouldn't have to do much work if there was the concern there. They would look for an outlet to be able to communicate.
And not their department. Enough money to pay. They think they have enough money. Now, some people, all these rich people, they have a bicycle. Gets to that, then they start thinking.
I'm just really proud of that. I don't talk to this guy over here. You know.
I hate to read this analogy, we are gerbils on an exercise wheel.
Yeah.
We're going around and around.
Yeah.
We're right now, we're done. Okay? I say that respectfully.
It's the item bomb though, it's really, so.
We're not going to forget the situation. It's just right now, this is it.
Yep.
To need more people. Right.
Yes. Thank you. Folks have been patient and waiting. Are you here for the same issue?
Oh, yeah, I wanna buy that piece of property.
They got your check.
Going on.
I'm gonna save all
It is
these.
for sale.
Couple of questions. I wanna go back to, somebody was talking about steel toe boots. meaning I work for the federal government. PPE is the most important thing. So, yeah, buy them boots, buy them gloves, whatever they need. Enough said.
Thank you.
West Valley sidewalk. What's the plan? What can someone tell me about?
I'm interested to hear, it's been a little while since.
No, she's not, I'm not on the same, she is.
I'm just saying, so I, teaching and something.
We had a meeting last week and I would say that the plan is probably 90% finalized. So, maybe for the August board meeting, we can ask them to do a public presentation. Do we think we're at that point yet?
I think they initiated.
Okay, so keep an eye out for the agenda, because we will ask the engineers to do like a public presentation of the plan. But it's also like secret, like if you want to see it, we can send you a file, but it's a draft preliminary.
Like if you're in town hall, I can roll all the maps.
Sure, I'd love to see
I
it.
actually.
Yeah,
I've got- I'll have it on.
Did you see, you saw the engineer.
Oh, yeah.
Secret, it's like.
The basic gist is it's west side, like at Mackenzie Overlook, it's on the west side, stays up so. So I'm gonna say left side, you're going to McDonald's, so.
That's the crosswalk.
Yeah. Or crosswalk or Mackenzie Overlook, because it's not, the sidewalk will not be on the Mackenzie Overlook side, it's gonna be on the west side. So Lucy property. So it goes all the way on the west side until before. Sorry, let me get this right. It's at the intersection of Nash, but I can't remember if it's before or after, like if it's at what point of the intersection of Nash. But that's
Okay, so it's on the west side, almost to that.
almost to Nash, and then it crosses to the east side at Nash. And then continues all the way to Saranac Ave, staying on that east side.
Because it would be the crosswalk right there on the side.
But the bigger reason, the number one reason for those two decisions is about the power poles on the east side.
Yeah, there is, the poles are in the way.
And drainage from that hill.
Because ideally it would be better on
Yeah,
the.
you know about drainage.
Yes.
And I like what you've done.
So that
Very
being
nice.
said, the next thing is there a plan to replace the water main?
It's village.
Village question.
That's a village.
That's village, and from what I know, that was a 12-inch stuff.
Midway down. wasn't it?
Sherry Martin, we did, I didn't think that, we were out of town. But the road slants towards our house and we had to put the lift in, we were very lost on driving the roads. But there's no drainage in them.
It wouldn't surprise me if that's on Swanson's infiltration water. You see, the village and the town are jointly using the same engineer that are looking at sewer lines, water lines, all the way through there. They've done flow tests during high drainage times a year. They've done flow tests on water lines. So, and I'm not trying to dodge the question, but only Brad would know the answer to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anything related to that? You're gonna have to replace the water main and then repair the road.
Yeah.
What, same thing with storm drain, that village related?
Yes.
Yeah, and village properties.
Okay,
Even
And
though,
Brad
it's-
would be to answer.
even though it's within the town, the village contracts us to maintain it.
okay. That's what we weren't sure of, whose responsibility it was. We figured we should have.
Okay, that's, so I wasn't sure.
We're gonna come, we're not grading this.
Paving.
Oh, yeah.
It's, that has been a problem for as long as Oneida's been there.
So where are you in relation to St. Louis?
Across the street.
They're going up from there.
Right before the lake.
Really fun.
They are.
Yeah.
So it's the house that was moved when they built the.
Yeah.
Oh,
We actually-
okay.
Before everything.
Yeah, it's an issue which she really hasn't pushed the issue. Because of the problem. The water that comes down Oneida is more than any other road in the village. Because it's a long hill.
There's no storm drain.
And it's totally paved,
There's
so it
like
gets
five,
on
that's
its
two
fast.
streets over there.
So it's right, runs right.
It's like, it's a river.
No, I-
It literally.
Yeah, it goes on the corner. If you built that, where you open it up so it can, it's go over there.
Yeah, what I did was I took the sand that's in that lot. That's been come down the hill for 100 years.
It's coming from your house too. I have that same in my backyard and I have to dig it out of my tree every.
Yeah,
It's like,
so I moved a lot of that sand. To the
Nothing
raise
for
of
you to
lot.
take 10 or 12 wheelbarrows of sand out and spread it.
yes.
My driveway.
I can
Oh, I
only,
have it's almost killing my tree. It's like right on the side of the mountain.
And you're,
I can only
you're
assume,
unfortunate because your driveway goes like that.
Yeah.
Brad is good to work with, I hope.
Yeah, she talked to him today, actually.
Okay. Yeah,
But, you know, that's some issue we'd like to,
Because they were the ones that raised, so that's why it's confusing.
other than driveway, which are all damaged.
no, it undermined your whole parking lot, and actually caved in. So they had,
Lovely, lovely.
they had to come and excavate.
Certainly will help any way we can.
And as Rick said, nice to do that. Let to see how the tractor.
I
get on the tractor.
I can only do what you know, I knew that sidewalk was coming. So it's like, okay, what do? You don't know where the sidewalks is. So basically, all I can do is remove all the sand. And I actually made a containment pond. It was just,
I was always wondering about this because I live right on Essex Street. and I go,
yeah, so. All the sand that comes down the hill accumulated. I dug it out and I raised her lot. So that, because that was nothing but a swamp. It just, that was so low.
Yeah.
But anyhow.
Okay.
All right.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Are we in need of an executive session?
I'll say.
No. Well, with that being said, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So.
No further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
I phoned.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I phoned.
You have the remote.
Actually, oh, yeah, it wouldn't work.
Good evening, everyone.
Some carry in.
I know.